Colts Nation, if helmets or helmet accessories interest you, make sure to go to greengridiron.com and use code INDSYN at checkout to get the discount code with it. Whether it's mini helmets, full-size helmets, visors, clips, whatever it may be, different face masks, different variations of helmets, alternate helmets, whatever the case, you can get it at Green Gridiron. And again, that's code INDSYN at checkout for the discount. Thanks for stopping by for another video, and now let's get into it. What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me. Hope you're having a great weekend. Happy Saturday. Today, going to be talking a little bit about something that I've kind of stayed away from for a little while, for various reasons. I haven't seen anybody else. I don't think I've seen anybody else talk about this. And so, hey, if anybody's going to do it, I might as well do it. Because, look, I see you guys talk about it in the comments all the time. Especially recently with some of the conversations that we've had about Ballard, about Steichen, about the culture, the leadership. And so many people usually will mention Jim Irsay and his role and everything. And I think we've been at a point for a little while where Jim Irsay has maybe less of a hand. But I do think the family does have an impact. Now, I do think that there is a part of this where because Jim has taken a back seat, right? And you think about, the last time Jim was, I feel like really a big part of things was in 2021. I think, getting Carson Wentz in, and I think he was a part of that. And then after that point, I think that's where, Jim started to, have some health issues, which obviously got worse. I think at this time last year, I think is when it was actually. And so for all intents and purposes, I feel like Jim really hasn't been involved. I think the girls, right, his daughters, I think that they do what they can to kind of stay in the background and let Ballard and everybody else do their job. And I think that's like, from one aspect, that's what you want. But if you're going to do that, you got to have the right leadership in place, right? And the thing that I keep thinking about here is thinking over to the Lions, right? And they got the right people in place. You think about Sheila Ford Ham. Not everybody, not all Colts fans are going to know about that situation, but Sheila Ford Ham. Basically, they went and got Brad Holmes. They went and got Dan Campbell, and she put all her belief and faith into these guys. Hey, I'm going to give these guys the power. I think I chose the right guys, right? And that's part of it. Is she had to go through the hiring process. She found these guys. And she believed that these were the guys that could work together to make the Lions what they are currently. And it worked. Her belief worked. Not that belief isn't always going to work out, right? John Mara with the Giants, I'm sure, had a lot of faith in Brian Daboll and Joe Shane to be able to figure things out and make that a winning franchise, right? So, it obviously doesn't always work out the way the Lions have worked out. But that is why I think getting leadership from the ownership position, from what we've seen, right? Just from what we've seen from our franchise, like that's going to be vital, right? Whether it's Jim Irsay or the daughters, what coming into the next part of the Colts and what we're going to be, whether that means we have, new coaches and new GM or just new front office and some coaches change, whatever the case may be, the leadership clearly has to change. There being an article coming out saying that there's no vision in this franchise is crazy. Like, not even ownership has a vision for everybody that's laid out. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we got to accomplish. We have some of the best players on the planet. We got to go get it. This is our goal. We got to hit this goal, this goal, this goal. What your personal vendettas are, your personal goals, they almost don't really even matter so much as, hey, we're a team. We got to accomplish things. Like, it's just, there being no vision in an NFL team, it's crazy from where I grew up. And that's the point where I'm a little jaded because I grew up in the Peyton era. And Peyton had everything under control. And you just look around different franchises, like, it's just not like that. everywhere forever, right? What the Packers have had with quarterbacks, it's just not like that everywhere forever. A lot of franchises go through periods where they're trying to figure a lot of things out, specifically at that quarterback position. And right now, obviously, that's where the Colts are. We got to have Anthony Rich to stay healthy. We got to have him get better if we're going to be successful anywhere anytime soon. So, and again, with the way the culture is, again, I don't really see anybody else, like none of the media. I understand there's media, there's bigger YouTubers and whatnot. These guys all have relationships in the building. They all have possible business that could be done with the Colts. And not to say I don't want to do that. Of course, that'd be, great for what I'm trying to do in my life. But nonetheless, somebody's got to talk about the fact that whether it's Jim or his daughters or whatever the case may be, like if they're not going to be able to do the job correctly, then like bro, take your billion, like sell it, take your billions and go live a great life somewhere. Like just get out of Indiana. Like as somebody who lived in Indiana for the first 22 years of my life and now I live in Florida, like if you have a chance to get out, brother, get out. Right? Billions of dollars. Like sell the franchise to somebody who's going to come in and want to win. And I'm not saying that's the answer. I'm just saying the leadership at the top has to be better. And with Jim going through his health, and a lot of people rag on Jim and all the things that he's been through. When it comes down to it, Jim's done everything in the NFL outside of being a player, right? Like he worked his way up, did everything when he was younger, right? Water boy and that kind of thing. And he did everything throughout the building and was a GM for a little while, and not to say he was ultra successful in any of those roles, but Jim has done it. And so I think all the years that Jim's been around, he was around Bill Polian, he was around a lot of great minds, Tony Dungy, Jim Caldwell, obviously Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, right? Jim was around a lot of greatness in his life, and I think it's just evident up to the point where everything went wrong, like Jim was still involved. So for everything people want to say, Jim being involved still was clearly still helping us. And it just seems like ever since he had to take a little bit of a back seat and gave, I assume, more control over what's happening to Chris Ballard. The daughters are co-owners, and so I assume they have a hand in it, but Jim's still alive, so he's probably limited, right? I don't know how that whole situation, I tried to look and see if I could find any details about how things might be, the inner workings are right now. There's nothing out there that I could really find other than the fact that they're all co-owners. Obviously, Carly goes on the sideline, wears a headset, and gets a POV from that point of view, right? But from what I can gather, just from everything you're hearing coming out of the franchise, from what we've seen over these last few years, it's like I just don't think when you talk about leadership at the top, that's what a lot of people are talking about, right? Hey, the leadership at the top isn't good enough. Well, that does start with the owner. And that's one thing we haven't talked about. Again, I got to give credit to the people who come here and watch these videos, the people that get into the comment section. I tell you guys all the time, I want to hear what you say. I don't always, get to it and reply to it and like it or whatever, in a great amount of time. But I do see what you guys are saying as it's coming in, and I enjoy hearing what you guys have to say. I've listened to you guys talk about Jim Irsay for so long, and it's time. It's time that somebody had the conversation. Again, I don't know if selling the franchise, right? Do the daughters want to do this? Are they suited to do this? Are they gonna can they do? That's the unknowns of that, right? Like Washington goes out, gets new ownership. You don't know, is Josh Harris and that ownership group, are they going to be able to really turn it around just because they're not Dan Snyder? Hey, these are new guys to the NFL. Maybe they fall short, but they've come in, they got a lot of money behind them, and they were able to turn things around. The Waltons with the Broncos, not being shy about spending money both on a coach and to a quarterback that they're not even paying anymore, right? So like, if selling the team can make us better, I think that's the answer. As a fan, I think that's the answer because I don't care what it takes. Again, they're billionaires. They're going to be fine. If they sell the team, they're going to live a perfectly happy life, probably much less stress. And what they could sell it for compared to what they got it for. Like, of course, the kids didn't buy it at all, right? It was passed down from, Mr. Ursay to Mr. Ursay, and now it's going to, all the Mrs. Ursay. So, I just think overall something has to change. Something has to change. If it is just getting a GM that's going to handle their own, just get a GM that can run it like the CEO of a company, and that can keep everything in line, that can create that vision, create that culture that, hey, we're not going to come in here and mess around. Anybody that doesn't want to work, you can get out. You don't want to be here on time, you can get out, right? Those kinds of things are what can help set us in the right way, and we just got to get there. So the hiring, he's got to get fired. Of course, Chris Ballard still has a job. Gus Bradley still has a job. Nobody has been let go. But just based on the reports we've heard of what could happen, right? If the Colts do need a new GM, I just think it's got to be somebody that you can trust to take full control over the franchise from the current situation. Just looking at it, you got to have somebody that would be fine taking over full control of the franchise. So that's where I'm at with it. Again, sell the team if you must is where I'm at. But whatever the case, the leadership has to be better because we're a joke of a franchise. And coming from where I grew up in the Peyton Manning area, this is not okay. The standard is not okay. It has to be raised exponentially, and it has to happen this offseason. And again, a lot of conversation going into that. But of course, the game on Sunday, which we'll be live for, plenty of content coming out. Make sure you're subscribed, have notifications on so you get notified anytime we drop any content or go live. And of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.